Welcome back to The Deep Dive. Okay, so today we're jumping into, well, a really fascinating set of sources. We're focusing entirely on decoding, one of the most successful and honestly maybe surprising business transformations out there. How Kim Kardashian moved way beyond just being famous for being famous to actually build this huge, powerful business empire.
Yeah, and our goal here really is to look past the sort of reality TV image. We want to pinpoint the specific choices, the strategic thinking and the execution. How did she manage to turn all that public attention, sometimes even like negative controversy, into real solid financial assets, things that last?
And it's kind of staggering when you actually look at the numbers, the raw data behind this whole shift.
Oh, it really is. I mean, as of April 2025, her net worth is pegged at around 1.7 billion US dollars.
Billion with a B.
Yep. But the core of that, the real anchor, is Skims, her shapewear and apparel brand.
Yeah.
That was already valued at $4 billion.
Wow. And that was back in 2023.
Back in 2023. So, it's likely even higher now.
Okay, so that's the central puzzle for us today, isn't it? How does someone start out, basically, with a huge public scandal back in 2007?
Yeah, that whole situation.
And turn that starting point into leading a multi-billion-dollar brand that's all built on ownership. It just flips the usual celebrity playbook completely upside down.
It absolutely does. And that flip, that starts with a really fundamental shift in her financial mindset.
Okay, let's dig into that mindset then, because most people back then, they saw that early notoriety as, maybe 15 minutes of fame, a flash in the pan.
Right, something that would just fade away.
Exactly. But what our sources are suggesting is that she saw it totally differently, that public drama wasn't an ending for her. It was like an initial public offering. She got it instantly. Fame, even that kind of fame, is capital. It's something you can deploy.
Yeah, her financial genius, it wasn't just about making money. Lots of celebrities make huge amounts of money, right?
Sure, endorsement deals, appearances.
Exactly. But her breakthrough was redefining where wealth actually comes from. For her, wealth meant owning the thing, the actual asset, not just getting a paycheck for promoting someone else's thing.
Okay, so owning versus earning.
Precisely. She basically ran a masterclass in turning public eyeballs into private equity. She saw her massive audience not just as followers, but as like a ready-made customer base for something she owned.
But hang on, doesn't that whole strategy kind of depend entirely on already having that massive platform, that built-in audience? Isn't that just, celebrity privilege at play?
Well, yes and no. I mean, it definitely relies on the platform. You need the reach.
Yeah.
But the strategy is what makes the difference. Plenty of celebrities have huge platforms, right? But they take the endorsement deal. They become the face. Look at Skims. She could have easily just been the paid face of some other shapewear line. Big check, easy money. But she didn't. She became the founder, the owner, the one with a controlling stake. That decision, that insistence on holding onto the equity instead of just grabbing the upfront cash, that's what let the wealth grow exponentially.
So it's moving from just being seen, being exposed, to actually owning the structure.
Exactly right. She was, I think, one of the first, certainly in her kind of sphere, to really master what we're calling the attention to asset economy. Her influence, her audience, the story she tells, it all flows directly into building measurable, lasting wealth that she controls.
Okay, so if there's one big takeaway from this first part, it's this. Real wealth. The kind she built, it's defined by what you own, how much you own, and how tightly you can weave that ownership into your own story, your own narrative. She didn't just jump onto someone else's train. She laid her own tracks.
Right. And once that mindset shifted towards ownership, the execution, the actual strategy had to match it. She seemed to understand pretty early on that fame can be, fickle. Assets are what stick around.
Yeah. Looking at her early career, the strategy seems pretty clear in hindsight. First, make money from the visibility itself. Appearances, smaller deals, the reality show.
Monetize the spotlight.
Right. And then channel all that attention, all that visibility into scaling up things she could actually own, fundamentally own.
And that Skims launch in 2019, it wasn't just, here's another celebrity product. It was built on real market insight. She spotted a gap, didn't she? For sizing that was actually inclusive, for comfort. Things the old guard was kind of ignoring.
Yeah, body positivity wasn't just a buzzword. It was baked into the product concept.
Exactly. And crucially, she was apparently really hands-on, deep in the design, the testing, working with the developers. This wasn't just lending her name, she was building the foundation.
And that idea, that principle of being fundamentally involved, holding on to equity, that seems to be the common thread through all her major business moves, right?
It really does. Whether it was beauty, fragrance, skincare, she always seemed to push for being a stakeholder, having skin in the game, not just being the hired face on the box.
Which is why I have to say, reading about the SKKM by Kim skincare line shutting down in 2025, that felt, well, surprising. Doesn't that kind of look like a failure, a big misstep?
From the outside, yeah, it definitely could look like a retreat, like something didn't work. But the sources we looked at, they frame it very differently. They call it incredibly smart, actually. A calculated consolidation move.
Consolidation, okay.
Strategic pruning, like trimming a plant so the main stem grows stronger. She recognized, apparently, that spreading her focus and resources across too many different brands was maybe diluting her impact on the biggest potential winner.
Which is Skims.
Yeah. That ability to actually cut something that's probably still making money, still functioning, in order to pour everything into the dominant asset. That's serious long-term thinking. That's what big-time business builders do.
Shows real clarity. And speaking of, long-term plays and positioning, you see her making moves that aren't just about selling product, but about building, institutional power. Right?
Absolutely. That big, splashy move into a flagship store on Fifth Avenue in New York City.
Yeah, I saw that.
That's more than just renting retail space. It's a power move. It's planting a flag, physically placing her main enterprise right there in the heart of the establishment. It's a statement about market control, saying this brand is solid, it's structural, it's not just some internet fad.
Right. It's saying we're here to stay.
Exactly.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me because the public image, the luxury, the sort of effortless celebrity thing, it seems to completely mask this incredibly disciplined business operator underneath.
Oh, completely. And you know what? That underestimation probably works massively to her advantage. People don't expect the level of business acumen.
Yeah, they see the surface.
They see the surface. But if you peel back the layers, what you find is someone running things with, ruthless executive discipline. She's not some distant figurehead signing off on things.
Yeah,
she's genuinely hands-on, personally involved in branding decisions, signing off on packaging details, negotiating major deals herself. And with Skims, the sources say she's actually, reviewing fabric swatches, wearing the prototypes constantly, testing the fit and feel.
So she believes that loyalty comes from the product itself, the actual experience, not just the hype around her name.
Precisely. It has to feel right, work right. And then you look at her social media, right? 330 million followers, or whatever it is now.
It's huge.
Huge. And it's easy to dismiss that as just image management, posting selfies. But in reality, it's a highly engineered business machine. It's her main, direct line to the consumer. A highway.
And a testing ground, too.
Absolutely. A real-time business dashboard. She can gauge interest, test marketing ideas, launch products directly to this massive, engaged audience. She doesn't just hope things go viral. She architects it.
For me, the craziest proof of this underlying drive, this, hidden engine, is her studying for the bar exam, the law degree journey.
Right.
She doesn't need the money. She definitely doesn't need more publicity. So why put herself through that? It's notoriously difficult.
Yeah, it's intense. And I think the answer is leverage. She sees knowledge, especially something as structured and powerful as law, as the ultimate form of leverage. It's about expanding her own capabilities, her influence, well beyond just entertainment or fashion. It's an investment in herself, in who she is becoming.
And it speaks volumes about her actual routine, doesn't it? The stuff you don't see on Instagram. We're talking about 5:30 a.m. wake-up calls, workouts, then straight into business meetings. Her daily schedule reads like the CEO of a Fortune 500 company, even if, the backdrop might sometimes be a photo shoot or a private jet.
It just shows that behind all the glitz, all the spectacle, there's incredibly focused, consistent, day in, day out hard work. Those high-performance habits, they're often invisible, right? They're masked by the shiny results. Her success isn't some accident of fame. It's been engineered, meticulously built.
Okay, let's circle back then, right to the beginning. That 2007 scandal, the thing that launched her into the public eye in such a controversial way, most people would have been completely sunk by that, defined by it forever. But she did something different. She don't really fight the story head on. She kind of absorbed it, owned it, and then started reframing it.
Yeah, she controlled the narrative around it, didn't she?
Exactly. And that ability to manage her own story right from that messy start seems like it set the precedent for how she'd eventually control her business narrative too.
And you see that same kind of resilience, that ability to navigate turbulence in her business dealings, too. She's faced scrutiny, like from the SEC over crypto promotions. She's had product bumps in the road.
Sure. Happens to every business.
Right. But she doesn't seem to collapse or panic. She seems to use those moments, those crises, to find, strategic clarity, to figure out what's next.
And nothing shows that clarity better, I think, than the SKKN decision we talked about. Shutting down the skincare line. It wasn't admitting defeat. It was a deliberate choice to concentrate her fire, her resources, exactly where she has the biggest advantage, the biggest moat, which is Skims. That move really proves that idea of pruning to grow. Sometimes you have to cut to get stronger.
Yeah. She seems to be playing what you might call the infinite game. It's not just about winning today or this quarter.
Right, not just chasing trends.
Exactly. She seems focused on building deep resonance, something lasting, rather than just staying relevant moment to moment. You look at the sequence of her big moves, the law studies, consolidating the brands around Skims, the big institutional real estate plays. It all points towards someone building for permanence. She's not trying to win the news cycle. She's aiming to own the next decade, maybe more.
It almost sounds like her real power isn't just about what she decides to do, but maybe even more about what she decides not to do, what she subtracts.
That's a great way to put it.
Strategy is so often about subtraction, isn't it? Cutting away the distractions, the things that no longer fit the long-term vision, even if they seem okay in the short term.
Absolutely. Her power lies in that disciplined focus, prioritizing the core engine Skims above everything else. She's basically the chief architect of her own blueprint, and she just refuses to let her origin story dictate the final structure.
So when we pull it all together, when we synthesize this whole deep dive, you really see this clear, three-stage evolution, right? First, she was just seen, famous for being famous. Then she started being understood strategically as a business force. And now she's pretty much undeniable.
Yeah, undeniable as a builder.
She just successfully refused to let how the world saw her define how she actually built her company, her internal structure.
And that core equation we talked about really holds up. You take fame, you multiply it by intense focus, and then you multiply that by ownership. And what you get is legacy. Yeah. She took the very thing people used to dismiss her fame, and she flipped it. She turned it into the bedrock, the foundation, the leverage for her entire empire.
And maybe the most powerful thing this whole story offers for you listening is this. Look at how she turned the most controversial, the most maybe overlooked parts of her own story into her biggest leverage.
Yeah.
It kind of proves you don't need to start from some position of established power, the right background, whatever, to build something massive. You don't have to be seen as perfect to win.
No, not at all. You just have to be really, really precise and strategic about where you put your energy and focus.
So maybe the question to leave you with is this. What part of your own story, maybe your professional journey or even your personal background, have you been underestimating? Or maybe even hiding?
What could actually be your greatest source of power, your unique leverage, if you looked at it differently?
Because at the end of the day, your beginning only defines you if you let it. It's the blueprint you build going forward that really matters.